Part 1. Stuart Robertson, Rangers Football Club. Stuart's skill sets begin with strategic leadership. He's provided Rangers with strong strategic leadership and sets the tone from the boardroom. He sets strategic priorities for the club's finances, football operations, marketing, communication, and social responsibility programs. Financial management. Robertson's the driving force behind Rangers' financial planning. He is a chartered accountant with great experience of identifying the risks, impact and contingencies of buying a football player for the club or when selling one. He also sets the budget for tasks such as player recruitment with the club's Director of Football, Ross Wilson, and sets robust internal control systems to reduce risk of financial harm to the club. Leadership and culture. Robertson's unique in the history of Rangers Football Club in that he is very proactive when it comes to diversity and social responsibility. Scottish society and the culture of Scottish football is an extremely masculine one, and Glasgow has social issues with poverty, racism and religious bigotry. He is a key figure in the launch of a professional women's team at Rangers FC 2 seasons ago and launched a social responsibility campaign called Everyone Anyone to highlight the similarities between the broad spectrum of supporters worldwide, regardless of age, ethnicity, faith, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability and health. Rangers men's and women's teams are among the most multicultural in the history of Scottish football, and Robertson has demonstrated the authenticity of these values by fronting publicly campaigns that deal with racial abuse in European football. Moreover, Robertson is an excellent communicator in a complex and public fronting industry, but conveys information accurately and in an articulate way. Phil Pickering Parker, Māori Football Aotearoa. Te reo Māori, tikanga Māori. Phil Pickering Parker's skills include knowledge of tikanga and te reo Māori. This means Phil can strongly influence the direction of Māori Football Aotearoa in a way that benefits future generations of Māori football. He is authentic. He sees the mission of Māori Football Aotearoa as intergenerational. He is not motivated by selfish reasons. Māori Football Kaupapa. Pickering Parker thinks intergenerationally and does not enter into business partnerships or alliances that do not genuinely reflect Māori Football Aotearoa values. Any potential relationship must fit organisational kaupapa. Pickering Parker has political and cultural acumen that means he can sense whether or not any alliance fits this criteria. Self-awareness. One of Pickering Parker's best qualities is his self-awareness. He often reflects on his performance with emotional, cultural and spiritual depth. He is consultative in this process and shares his thoughts and emotions with other people he trusts in a fearless way. He is honest in this process, and this leads to different perspectives. Political acumen. Pickering Parker has built connections within the indigenous football world from Hawaii to Australia to Canada and the US. Phil understands the social needs of Māori footballers and the environments they come from, and understands the economic challenges they face in participating in organised football in Aotearoa, New Zealand. He has also created strong relationships with Sport New Zealand, New Zealand Football, Oceania Football Confederation and FIFA. Part 2, ranking my skills. Strategic leadership, ranking 6 out of 10. I lack experience as a strategic leader at boardroom level, but I've planned strategy for complex media relations at FIFA in a fast-moving, fast-paced and highly political environment. Financial management, ranking 5 out of 10. My lack of experience in managing budgets like that of a professional football club is the rationale for this ranking, but I have managed smaller departmental budgets of up to $2 million, but not often. There is room for improvement. Leadership and culture, ranking 9 out of 10. I have extensive experience of leading sports teams as an athlete and coach. I believe this is due to my two cultures, Scottish and Māori, having strong working class roots, and I have also undertaken tertiary education and further education in my EMBA journey. I've worked alongside many well-known global leaders, including Joseph S. Blatter and Gianni Infantino, as well as many global politicians in my capacity as a press officer. Communication, ranking 9 out of 10. Communication is my area of expertise, and after 17 years' experience working in a multilingual, multicultural, fast-paced political environment, I'm confident my ranking score is accurate. Te reo Māori, tikanga Māori, ranking 2 out of 10 and 6 out of 10. I rate myself 6 out of 10 and 2 out of 10 because I was raised in a family where our Scottish heritage was more present through my late father. My mother, who was from Ngāpuhi, discouraged any tikanga Māori or te reo Māori in our education. My skills and values reflect these dynamics. I possess a quiet awareness, respect and sensitivity of tikanga. Māori football kaupapa, ranking 8 out of 10. While te reo Māori and tikanga Māori score relatively low, I rank my skills in understanding the kaupapa very high. I'm able to do this because my experience within the sport of football intersects with my skills in communication, leadership and culture. Self-awareness, 9 out of 10. I rank my self-awareness as a 9 out of 10 because I've done a lot of work on self-reflective practices as an elite athlete and coach around mental strength, which gives me a solid base. I developed this skill further as I've matured as a person to include emotional, spiritual and cultural frameworks that have deepened the process for me. I've also learned to open myself up and involve trusted people in this process. Political acumen, ranking 9 out of 10. I rank myself highly due to my experience in working in a politically charged environment and media relations at FIFA for 17 years. I've learned to communicate with other people without speaking their language, often interpreting their emotional, physical or oral tone, mostly with accuracy. I understand power and I'm perceptive when identifying political agenda, tactics and strategies. Part 3, te reo Māori, tikanga Māori. My two lowest ranking numbers here. Learning te reo Māori is a very personal experience, and accessing courses to learn te reo Māori forms part of a specific achievable action towards upskilling myself in the language. Developing further understanding of how Māori organisations govern themselves can be achieved by taking part in governance training, such as those delivered by Te Whare Hukahuka. Te Whare Hukahuka offer training courses for organisations and individual programs like Ka Eke Pōtamu or Ka Hau. Māori Football Aotearoa have discussed offering me a position on their current board due to my experience and expertise in media, communications and experience in football as a former player, coach and press officer. Māori Football Aotearoa understand my whakapapa closely, and for any perceived gap in my te reo Māori or tikanga Māori, would still be keen to offer me a board position because we share many of the same principles that overlap with te ao Māori. Strategic leadership. Improving my skills as a strategic leader include continuing to undertake further education, whether that be at university or appropriate business seminars. Coaching and mentoring can also be of use, where I can utilise the skills of other more experienced strategic thinkers to improve myself using their feedback. Financial management. I'm the newly hired General Manager of Auckland City Football Club, and part of my responsibility is to understand the club's finances. This is a gap in my skill set, so I've had to make sure to surround myself with people at the club who understand finance better than I do. The club has recently appointed a lawyer named Paul Smith to the board, who has offered to mentor, teach and give support in governance and finance issues related to club operations. Seeking out mentors like Paul Smith and experienced people to assist my growth in this area is essential for my professional growth. Thank you for listening.